Stop me if you heard this one before. Roughly about 500,000 illegal or economic refugees are heading towards, well, most likely the UK, like from Pakistan, and mostly guys. And when they were approaching the Spanish border, the prime minister or president of their country, whoever, some fucking bitch, said like, "Yo, you have to be accepting of these people. Spain is a very accepting nation." And like you look at the actual like makeup of these people, like the actual like genders and like the age of these people, and you're just like wondering to yourself, what the fuck is even a refugee anymore? Like I'm pretty sure like we've all honestly just like completely ignored the Sudanese refugees, the Nigerians, the South American, oh no, sorry, South African, sorry about that, South African Caucasian farmers that are getting like butchered and shit. Who else? Who else? I'm guessing like some other refugees around the world now, especially Iranians. Although they're most likely like Iranians are built different. Like they're ready to like throw down for their country. They're not fleeing. Unlike the other Arabs, well, like technically they're Persian, so like they're different. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard that story before. Like basically like 20 years ago. So like 10 years ago, when you were told this, what was it, like the Syrian refugee, the Syrian crisis, and then another like 2 decades ago, it was the whole Arab Spring. And it was the exact same bullshit. It's just like, yo, you have to open up the doors, be compassionate, this and that. Who the fuck is making these decisions? And who gave it, like, you know what I mean? Gave this guy power? Who gives these guys, like, the authority to just fuck the lives over of, generations to come? And then I gave it a lot of thought, and I startedly, fuck. I'm telling you, dude. Like, I think everybody's afflicted with this like word slurring bullshit. Like, I'm making so many fucking slurs ever since this new year, and like, you know how I am. Like, I always like do everything in one take. Like, I don't like to chop up my videos that often unless like I can't find my joint or whatever. Right? I gotta go to the bathroom, some shit like that. Ah, like you'll hear me burping and sneezing. So yeah, that's how I do. For the contempt for the younger generations. I spoke at length about this, but to be brief, so OpenAI and Nvidia are having a falling out, and like the money that's being thrown around is like in the ridiculous range. They're like talking about like something like 100 billion, right? And then when interviewed about it, like the follow up, because I don't know if OpenAI pulled out. No, I think Nvidia's the one that pulled out, and then like it was just this whole stigma of like if OpenAI or Nvidia, like the card manufacturer, is going to be like following through with this like push for AI, because if you really think about it, like computer graphics, because I'm just talking about on the gamer side, right? Like there's all these other aspects, the financial aspect, the automation aspect, like everything, like even like something as simple as like, and I know I'm sorry if I'm coming off as being rude by saying this, but something as simple as like extras in a movie, you know what I mean? Just like AI, right? Just auto generate them, and like that's nothing new. Like Star Wars, all these different movies had like techniques that use something along those lines. So what I see is a complete and utter like contempt for the younger generations, almost to a fault. And I was watching this one YouTuber, and he was speaking about the whole phenomenon on like not only like the hypersexualization of like young men and like some women who like exploit that, but also like he has like a lot of compassion for just people in general, right? And this one was like they were all like getting off on insulting this like really young kid because he's like really ethnically black, and like he's dark skinned, and like apparently he has no eyebrows or some shit like that. And like when you hear them talk, like it's a kid. It's like what the fuck do you want? Like I was like I had buck teeth, dude. I didn't even brush those things. It was like fucking yellow brown and shit. But the internet's gotten so like fucking hypersexualized because now that we gotten like this whole release of the Epstein files, like Microsoft is like sweating, Grand Theft Auto sweating. Well, how many people are in the Epstein list? George Clooney was in the Epstein list. Holy fuck, man! And they're running and they're hiding, and they're burning the fucking the bridge as they're like running across it. So you can't, come with them. You want that house, you want that mansion. Sorry, you have to like, do some sexualistic, sacrificial ritual. I don't know if I said that already. Sacrificial, but or like, like I don't know, just have some dirt on some politician. It's that pod life, man. It's what they want. It's the one for all of us. I've noticed this about like the older generation. It's just like they play patsy to like these older ass people who have like an unreasonable like some amount of money over them. Like it's almost as if it's a joke to say that we live in a capitalistic society when you have like basically this monarch amount of wealth with these like certain individuals and stuff, and then like they pull all the strings in the background, and we're the ones who have to pay for it. But when you think about the whole Nvidia Open AI thing, it gives me like this parallel about how console makers. I was about to say console makers. I was about to say that. I'm like, fuck, man. This fucking these fucking vaccine shots fuck me up, man. Because it's like the only time I don't stutter or whatever, like mispronounces shit, is when, like I'm blazing and shit. Just like some straight up inebriation and stuff. But like the whole falling out between like Nvidia and OpenAI is a lot like console makers and customers, right? Where console makers are obviously selling you a rip-off PC in a box, whether you like it or not. Like obviously you would pay a little bit more for a PC because of all the components involved with it, but the parts, and like their longevity just far outlasts consoles. But what do consoles do? They develop specifically for their hardware. They know like all these special tricks, and like maybe their consoles can do something that like PCs can't do, like one or two things, some tricks. I'm not trying to like say consoles aren't like good. I prefer to game on them over PC just for the sake of having a PC that can render faster. Because it gets annoying, it gets invasive. Like these people want not only to sell you something, but they just want to collect your information on like a constant day by day basis to like feed into this AI, this beast, this monster that they think is gonna just do and solve everything for them. But in reality, they're setting the entire world up for failure. And it does remind me of Wall-E, where you had like those like it was a depiction of people where they're just like hyper commercialized, super lazy, and all that stuff. Like we're heading towards a world basically like that, hyper consumerism. Like even though you could argue that we circumvented like the whole affliction of fat stigmatization with Ozempic. Like we're legalizing it here in Canada now. Like there's like all these Ozempic knockoffs that are coming out. I don't know, like I don't know if our like Canadian version of the FDA, Canada Health Services or something as it's called, approves of Ozempic, so we get like knockoffs or like the Canadian approved version of it, so we don't have to pay an unreasonable amount of tariffs or something like that, like the Canadian version. you know, Ozempic maple syrup version. But you kind of get the feeling that like it was between these two companies that were making like so much money, and it's like the money wasn't enough, even though like for us, like we can't fathom like making that amount of money in our lifetime. And yet like, $100 billion is just like washing hands between these people. It's just like it's surreal that we're like living in that level of wealth disparity where, you have the people who are living paycheck to paycheck versus, you know, the top. I don't even think they're a percent. I think they're like a 0 point something percent of people who live like this. And the amount of influence that they have over all of us is unreasonable. Like, I was watching this teardown of an Xbox, and it like original Xbox, and it just like it hits you, like just how much you used to have, because it's like, even though you could argue that the architecture and the technology is antiquated in the Xbox, original Xbox. Like it was such as like a big ass console. You see like the huge ass heat sinks and all like, the components and stuff. It's like they really used to care about like, these things. Like they at least tried to an extent. And I think like ever since the start of the Xbox, because I still think that like PlayStations are good consoles as opposed to the Switch and Xbox consoles, because not only is it, I'm a Sony pony, but and shit, but like they're just like good ass consoles. Like the Xbox, I mean, sorry, the PlayStation 4 gave me Monster Hunter World, right? Like you can't mess with that. And even though the PC version came out and it ended up running better, like initially, much like Wilds when it released, yeah, you're just better off on console at that point. But the contempt that you have like by like world leaders like Keir Starmer, this prime minister president of Spain, to just like dump like 500,000, mostly guys too. Like no, like I think it's like all guys. Like I didn't see any girls. I was just like looking at them. I'm like, is there any girls here? So he's saying like 500 men, 500,000 men just show up, and it's just like, okay, come in. Why? What the fuck? But then I gave it a lot more pause, and then I realized something. So, and I'm gonna go off on like a little like what if. Um, excuse me. So Christopher Nolan is coming out with a movie, the Odyssey, the Odyssey, whatever you want to call it. The famous story. You sail little ships, starring Matt Damon of all people. I mean, he's a great actor, you know, and like right scope and everything, right? But like, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of getting the feeling that like, Hollywood is like it's running out of like, credible actors, and like the ones that are just still there are like, aging the fuck out. It's like, Keanu Reeves, he's still keeping it real and shit. And he's just like all grayed out. It's like, fuck, dude, this is the best you guys got. I mean, apparently it is. And the rumor is they have that actress who played whatever that role was in Black Panther. Well, I think what are the like the Guardians or War Chiefs and stuff. She was like some, I don't want to say Amazonian, right? Because it's just like, overlap. Amazon, you're not from the Amazon rainforest. But you know what I mean, right? Like, and she's kind of attractive. But here's when things get um, very, let's say, a sign of the times. Now, out of context or lacking context, if you will, you could argue that Christopher Nolan has ingested the woke virus, the woke mind virus, and has like cast this actress in the role of Helen of Troy, a role that classically goes to, Caucasians and apparently blonde hair, blue eyes. I did not know that about that role of specificity, but whatever, right? Like that's if that's what the story says, okay. Um, and then I thought about it, right? Why would he do this? I mean, he's extremely intelligent, story, filmmaker, etc., right? Like he's just a legendary visionary, if you will. Like all of this movies, just like you watch it, you just can't watch it once. Basically, you're compelled to watch it more than once because it's so saturated. It's not like it's hectic, but it's so nuanced in meaning and like metaphors and hidden like truths that you watch a movie like The Dark Knight and on the surface it's just like an action hero movie with like crazy villain and like tragic love story between like a district attorney and a lawyer and it doesn't work out and he becomes a villain, a tragic villain. If you're looking at it like that, but then if you look at it from a societal point of view, like the Joker is pointing out all these things wrong with the government, with society, with with the way people are, this and that. Like like you could go down that rabbit hole, and I think Christopher Nolan figured that out because oh, and he brought back Ellen Page. People are like, why is Ellen Page in the movie? I'm like, what are you talking about? She was in Inception. Of course she's gonna come back. I'm surprised you didn't bring back Leo or that French lady. I forget what her name is. That pretty lady who was in like Goldeneye as well. Um, but yeah, like and then he also made that other movie that I don't think most people saw. Fuck, I don't fucking know the name of. Actually, I could research it right now with the power of the internet. Oh man, I love the internet. Makes me sound way more professional than I am. And you can't blame me for not knowing this because this was during COVID times. So of course I couldn't have watched it. Or maybe it wasn't. I'm just making that shit up. It is. I bring that up because he's like a guy who shapes society, whether consciously or subconsciously. Even like you can argue Bane in The Dark Knight Rises was also influential because it's like the character was well written, this and that, uh, just a type of you know guy who, whether you like it or not, has influenced society in a way where I think he feels the burden of it. Yeah, there it is, Tenet. I can't believe I forgot the name of that. And I saw Dunkirk. Okay, so yeah, this came out 2020, so you can't blame me for not seeing it and not knowing about it. But like, yeah, and I don't think anybody really saw that movie because of the aforementioned, but I just had to point that out because um, it was a movie I think that it's a good movie, but I don't think like it had, again, because of the reasons, the same scope and reach that his other releases had. And then inevitably he released Oppenheimer to like critical acclaim. Everybody. I didn't see it actually, but everybody loved it. And I bring this up because him casting this lady in Helen of Troy, I think he realizes it. Like he understands that like his audience is a detriment to the world. Like he wanted to like entertain people. He wanted to like, inspire people. He wanted to like be a storyteller. And instead, he inspired evil people to do harmful things to people, to play make believe, to get lost. And for what? Right? I have a confession to make. I didn't watch Interstellar. Shit. I'm not a good movie watcher. Please forgive me. I didn't watch Oppenheimer, Tenet, Interstellar, um, and Prestige. Yeah, I didn't see that one. So, uh, the way I see it is that, and I'm gonna get like a little bit of, I don't really care. Nobody cares. Nobody watches my channel really, but like, in my opinion, I think he sees his fellow Caucasian man as white, like privileged, weak, almost like you could just be walked all over, and infantilizing you with more of the same, Hollywood schmoozing bullshit that, you know, you're just, more or less used to, because it's like, who would honestly take that role? Classically, you got the Margaret Robbies, you got Sydney Sweeney, you got, you know, you got your women, right? Like maybe some lesser known actresses that I'm just like not thinking about off the top of my head, but like, um, it's a contempt for his own fellow white man, from my point of view. And I think it's all to do with the fact that Europe just fell and nobody did anything about it, and like consecutively and consistently do nothing about it. And going back to like that whole YouTuber and his like um topic, him talking about, I think, Bonnie Blue or something, that British lady who's like getting guys lining up to like, have sex with her, and talking about like wanting to have, be like this hot naughty teacher and have sex with like all these young guys. Her words, not mine. So it's like, in reality, I don't think he wants to entertain you anymore. I don't think the world likes you anymore. I think you have to start fighting, and treating it like, it's desperate times, because at least that's how I see it, right? I mean, y'all grew up watching these guys' movies, right?